I'm with Scott Sarver. We're at the B-29 Doc's Friends here in Wichita. He'll show us the interior of the aircraft.
I'm one of the volunteers on Doc's Friends. I retired from a career at Cessna Aircraft Company of 32 years, and then I came to work volunteering out here at Doc. Wanted to give back to the community, to the people that flew the airplanes, built the airplanes, maintained the airplanes, and help the younger generation understand all about it. I'll climb aboard. Have a low entrance, watch your head. Duck your head, here you go.
Okay.
Beyond where the aft scanner sits, you'll see a tunnel that kind of goes back to where the aft gunner seats. You get back there, you'll see there's a little door that would close on that hatch, and it would pressurize back there, so he'd be in his own little pressurized compartment.
You really have to crawl back here. That's amazing.
Yes, you do. That's the only way back there, and that's how the crewman would get back to his station. Because, as I said, it was really an airplane built for 19, 20-year-old kids.
Wow, you gotta be really flexible.
Yeah. It's a stuck squeeze.
This is not easy.
You'll be able to stand up once you get inside. And you'll see where the seat frame is for the gunner that would sit there. It's up above you.
Okay, I see it.
Okay.
It is a little more spacious here, actually.
Once you get there, it's not quite as bad, and you can actually stand up.
Okay,
And once you do, the view is pretty good.
here's the view. The view is pretty good. Now, being back here, does the plane yaw a lot?
Oh yes, you feel the airplane pitch and yaw much more extremely here than anywhere else because you're at the very end of the airplane.
You mentioned this is pressurized here, and this here, I see the door right here.
Right, it would have been.
It would have been.
This area in between was not pressurized.
So this person here was very lonely.
He was the loneliest guy
So on a 10-hour mission, he'd be back here 10 hours?
He'd be back there the whole time, yes.
Is there any toilets back here?
They used to use something they called a honey bucket, and that was it.
Well, that's...
Not too nice. Behind you where you're sitting is the escape hatch. He would have had to go out in the event of an emergency.
So, but we're sitting here. I can only tell you it's very, very... it has a great view, but you'd be very secluded back here. And being back here, it'd be very claustrophobic for somebody who's not used to it.
The guys that did it, that was something they had to deal with.
This is actually very humbling.
It is.
And you can bump your head on those
very
springs.
easily. Be careful back there, you sure can.
Okay.
Those seats there have been installed by us from Cessna Aircraft Company. Those happen to be seats that came out of caravans. Normally you'll have your land gunner in that, and we call it the barber chair. And we call it the barber chair just because it swivels 360. That's where the command gunner would sit, and the bubble up above him was where he would be looking for targets. We'll come up front here to where the scanners sit, might be easier to start from. This is the left scanner position here. The scanner is looking outside the aircraft. He can see the landing gear, he can see the flaps, he can see the backs of both engines, so he's keeping an eye on all of that. And the bubble shape of this allows you to go clear out. You can see all the way up front, all the way back in the tail, so it gives you very good visibility as to what's going on with the aircraft. We can spot traffic from any location here, mid-aircraft aft. You can stick your head clear out into the blister. There's a long way you can go to be able to see forward, aft, up, and down.
I'd prefer to be here
Exactly.
than in the tail gun, I have to say.
Up top here is where the command gunner would have sat, this bubble above him, and watching for targets to see where any of the bogeys may be coming from.
Just let me get a quick view of how it looks here.
Sure.
Actually, it's quite comfortable.
It is. It's not a bad seat. We don't have any pad there right now. We need to get a pad for it, but other than that, it's a comfortable seat. Door that would be closed to use to pressurize this facility. This aircraft has two bomb bays, the forward and the aft bomb bay. Each bomb bay could carry a total of 10,000 pounds of bombs, so it had a 20,000 pound maximum bomb load. To get in the forward part of the aircraft, the crew would go through this tunnel. They would have to crawl all the way up to the forward cockpit area. This was pressurized here, so they would go from their pressurized area to another one that was pressurized as well.
How long is this tube here?
I would guess at least 30 feet long, maybe more.
In an aircraft like this, you just can't have claustrophobia.
Everything is a little snug, so yeah, if you've got a problem in this aircraft. Yeah, that's right. They typically kept the restroom or the honey bucket back here, so on the long missions they would have to come back and use that typically. If you desire crawling down there, you're welcome to do so. I'm going to get out and go around front through the other way. You're ready. I'll meet you on the other side.
You have a rope to pull me out, right? If I get stuck in the middle.
We'll get a hook.
Okay, one good thing is I noticed is you could actually crawl.
Yeah, you can get on your hands and knees and crawl, normally. So it's not too hard to get back and forth, but it is a bit of a distance.
This is actually a little nicer than I thought compared to the tail gunner.
Right.
The tail gunner was
He was in a very difficult spot.
How do you do this? I'm gonna get stuck here.
When you get all the way up here, you'll roll over onto your back. There's two handles up here that you're going to grab for, here and here, and you'll pull yourself out and let your legs come down, and there's a ladder here that you'll be able to put your legs on. You're kind of doing a little bit of a pull-up, and you're letting your legs come down this ladder, and I'll help you so that you don't stumble. All right.
Right here, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
right there.
I have to almost...
One out there. Yeah, you got to be out just a little ways. Do a little bit of a pull-up, and then you're going to let your legs come down that ladder. There you go. Exactly like that.
That is not easy.
Gosh, they didn't build this aircraft for comfort. They didn't build it to make anybody's life easier. They had a mission to do, and that's what they built it for. The navigator would have been over on this table here, plotting his course, that drafting tool, and plotting their course up to Japan to do their bombing run. Where our head is now is where the upper forward gun turret was. And below us, this wooden ring that you see is the lower gun turret. These two gun turrets would have stuck up further into the cabin and almost touched right here in the middle, to where this space was all taken up by gun and equipment, ammunition, and so forth. The cabin up here was much tighter, much less space than there is now. This is the flight engineer station. He controls all the engines. The pilot and co-pilot, they could do major movement. They did most of the moving on the ramp through braking and through differential throttles. This is the commander's seat, or pilot seat, and the co-pilot. We have many of the instruments that were in the aircraft at the time, but we also have a variety of newer instrumentation, including GPS and so forth, for the safety of flight, safety of operation. We tried to keep some of the gauges as they were. We had to send them all out to be sanitized because at the time they were covered with radon to give them a glow in the dark, but it also was a little bit hazardous, so they had to clean all those instruments off and then send them back to us. Move up to the bombardier station. Bombardier had the best view in the house. All of this glass up here allowed him to be able to see where his target was coming up. He would have initial points that he'd be looking for on his bombing run, and they would have briefed this before the mission started, but he had a great view to be able to see that. The bombardier was also able to use the forward gun sight here to be able to sight in on aircraft that were coming in the front, and he could control some of these guns up here. So he had double duty as a bombardier and also as a gunner.